All right. Tell me if you've seen anything. If we've got any. Let me just check.
Yeah, we'll see. We had the countdown, so let's hope it will start. Do.
There's Nalu in the chat. Book you and
There we
Roger
are.
are new
Look at that
officially
now,
10
live
minutes.
and everything. Amazing. Technique sometimes works.
It
Okay.
worked.
Very much welcome to That Beautiful Life podcast. This is episode 257, and we haven't been talking or seeing each other for some time. Actually, 2 weeks. So
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely high priority right now to get this up and going.
Mm-hmm.
And with that said, I hope we're going to have a good time together. And as always, I am Roger Bergström from Stockholm, Sweden. That's now not how you say my name in Swedish. It was more with the French kind of thing. And as
Mm-hmm.
always, my dear friend is also back in the UK, the beautiful Reading in the UK, and that is Kudus Campbell. And hi, my friend, how are you? We haven't been talking for quite some time, man.
It always feels weird when we don't. It always feels weird. It's like my week hasn't started if we don't talk to each other. Like I've been stalking your socials, like watching you drumming it up and stuff like that with the
True.
band.
Yes, we'll
But
get to that.
it's weird when I've spent a week and we haven't spoken, and it feels like my week isn't complete, and it's good to be back and that we're talking and we're here with you guys.
Yes.
So
Want to say hi to, yeah, exactly. Very much welcome, by the way, if you're just popping into the chat and everything. Hello, Alex. Hope you're fine. You guys had a good time in Poland. We're going to talk about that, of course. And of course, Nalu. Hi, my friend. Hope you're fine. Good to have you
hey,
here. Also, thank you for popping in when I streamed recently. So, hope you're having a good start of your week
mm-hmm.
because we are, well, start of your week. It's kind of towards the end of the week, but you know what I mean. Yeah. But Q, my friend, you've been out traveling again, you guys.
I
Globetrotters, you.
we went to Poland again. I'm trying. I
Yeah.
I try to get some footage that I can use in here, but the footage I have, I don't want to use for the podcast.
No.
I have other plans for it. So I would have been showing like footage of Poland right now. But unfortunately, we don't have footage of Poland, so there's eFootball on the screen. But my second time to
It's perfectly
Poland,
fine.
it was my second time going to Poland, and yeah, I have to say, um, it was interesting going during an election time. It was like
Oh, is it election
there was an
in
election in
Poland?
Poland. They just voted
Oh,
for a new president, and when
yeah,
we were
true.
there,
True.
we
I
were
read about it. Yeah.
yes. I think his name is oh bloody hell, I forgot it. It was all over the telly all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I
I'm
think
also a bit
his name's like
insecure.
Kravkowski or something. No, that's not the name. Is it? Is
Isn't it?
Carol? Carol is his
No, no,
first name. I know
hold.
that.
Isn't it Andrei Sebastian Duda? No?
No. So the new president is Carol. I think it's
Yeah, Karol Nawrocki. Nawrocki. Oh,
Nawrowski.
yeah.
Yeah. So he is the new president of Poland, and they have a prime minister who's someone else. The prime minister handles
Yeah.
the day-to-day thing. Carol handles he sort of can veto bills and legislation and stuff that they do and so forth. But I was visiting we were visiting my father-in-law again. Ty had this sort of like horse therapy thing that he was doing. So he was going to that, and while we were there during this election time, my father-in-law, he was, older people who live in a country, you care about elections, you care about your politics and so forth. So every time the telly was on at a certain time of the day, there was elections and stuff on the screen, and I had quite a few conversations with my father-in-law about his particular takes on their choices. And my father-in-law, he's very well connected, and he knows a lot of like politicians and dignitaries and all that kind of stuff, because he's a very well renowned chef, and he travels the world and he cooks for a lot of people, so he meets all of these people. He meets all these presidents and prime ministers and kings and all these sort of blah blah blah. And so he has his opinions of this Carol person, and yeah, he made his opinions very clear in the house as we spoke about it and so forth. and it was just quite interesting just being in that time. But I for me, I felt a bit uncomfortable to a certain extent, because going to a country during election time, especially when a big portion of what Karol Nawrocki was sort of campaigning on was anti-EU, anti-immigration, be very close to the US. That was sort of like his campaign. And because of that, I felt uncomfortable, because I was like, oh, I do not fit the bill of what he is selling. And the vote was split almost down the middle. It's like almost 50-50. So to me, it felt a bit uncomfortable. But that was just an internal feeling for me, personally speaking. While I was in Poland, it was perfectly fine. Like, people were just really nice and pleasant, and I really didn't have any, like, the last time I went, I did have an unpleasant moment. This time, no unpleasant moment. Good. I had this one cool, interesting one that happened where I chose a day. I went by myself. No one was with me. I went to the shops, and I was like, I need to practice my Polish, so I need to go into the shops by myself and just do some shopping. And so, Alex said we needed some lettuce and some bread, and I was like, I'll get lettuce and bread. And I go to the shop, and I get to the shop. I think it's called Carrefour. And I get to Carrefour, and in there's bread, and you have these rolls, and I wanted to get the different rolls that my father-in-law really usually buys and so forth. I don't know how to pick them, so I get a bag and I just pick up all the rolls, and I'm like, I'm environmentally conscious. So I'm like, look, let me put all these rolls can fit in one bag, right? So I've got 3 of these ones. I've got a croissant here. I've got that one there. Maybe a donut. Chuck it in the bag. I was like, right, it all fits in the bag perfectly. I don't need 2 and 3 bags for this. And I put that in my basket.
I see where this is going.
Put it in my basket. See where this is going. And I get the lettuce. I put that in my basket. I pick up a few extra things that wasn't on the list. I was like, cool, let's go. I get to the till. Now, there's self-checkout. I could have just gone to the self-checkout and just punch in what I got. I was like, nah, I'm going to talk to someone in Polish, right? So when you get to a shop in Poland, the first thing you do, you walk in and you say, Dzień dobry, right? So I walk in and I walk up to this lady. She's scanning other people's stuff, and I'm like, Dzień dobry? And she's like, Dzień dobry. And she takes my stuff and she starts scanning it. And then she sees the bag of bread, and she looks at it. And she looks at me and she looks at it. And she looks at it and she's like, in Polish, she's like saying, what is this? Like, why did you mix them? Like, why didn't you separate the breads? Why didn't you put them in separate bags? How can I count this? Right? So she's saying this in Polish. I have no idea. I just said Dzień dobry. I don't know anything else. I'm expecting her to scan my stuff, me pay, and then for me to say do widzenia and leave, right? To say dziękuję, which is thank you, and do widzenia, which is like, okay, bye, and I'm out of the shop. Yeah. I'm expecting to do that. These are the only 3 words I've prepared for this whole thing. So she's like, what? She's talking to me. And I'm there like, right. What do I? So then I take my phone. I said, give me 1 second, please. I call Alex. I'm like, hola, I'm in the shop, and I've mixed the breads. Like, I think I've done something wrong. And the lady's saying something to me. So I put her on speaker. I was like, please talk for me. And so she comes on the phone and she's like, Dzień dobry. And the lady's like, Dzień dobry. And she explains the situation. The lady's like, she explains, and they have a little chat on the phone and they laugh and la la la. And then the lady's like, she says to me, like, just take out the bread on the top, because they're not allowed to touch them. So I had to take out the bread on the top. And then she could count the ones underneath. And then I put it back in, and she did the whole thing. And then I said, dziękuję. And then I left, right? I was out of there, right? And then I went back to that shop the next day with Alex and the boys, and we went to the same till. That was the same lady, and she was like, oh, so you're the missus I was on the phone and all this sort of blah 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 and so forth, connected. And then I was like Dzień dobry, and she said Dzień dobry, and she said to Alex, I said, I'm still learning, I'm still getting there, and Alex translated to me, and then she was very nice, and then we left. And then the 3rd day I went back with Xavi, and I was walking up to the tills again to pick up more bread, and this time I'd separated the bread like I should have.
Of course. Yeah.
And so she sees me and she starts waving like, come on. Right. So I come over and I'm like, Dzień dobry. And she says, Dzień dobry. And she's like, oh, you separated them. You've learned. And I'm like, tak, you know.
Yeah.
And so Savi's helping a bit with my translation because I don't know a lot and so forth, but he understands enough to communicate. And then I say Jinkuya and then Dabijanya and we're looking to leave. And, you know, she's just like, you know, like you're getting there, you'll learn it and so forth. And I'm like, yes, I'm just, you know, I'm just an attack. And it was nice. So I have a new Polish shop person that I like whenever I go to visit my father-in-law, I am going to Carrefour and I'm going to this till. And if any one of those shop people are there and she's among them, that's the person I'm going to. Even if someone says, come on, I'll be like, look, let the other person go. I have my shop lady now. So
Exactly. You know where to go now. Yeah,
I know where to go. So it was nice. Honestly, Poland was nice. The weather, oh my God, Raj, the weather it reminded me so much of like Trinidad. It's warm. It's like a proper spring weather. It's nice and warm. Dogs are outside barking at people. In England, people's dogs are in their houses barking at them. In Poland, which is like Trinidad, dogs are outside barking at strangers, which is what dogs should be doing. You let those strangers know, don't come in this yard. This is not for you. You can't come in here. Right? So walking through Poland it did feel very much, you know, excluding the whole demographic, you know, skin complexion demographic, it felt very Trini in that regard, in the fact that just walking the streets, I felt at home. I felt very comfortable. And I went out a lot on my own, where I went out with Xavi and so forth, and I felt very comfortable. We went to different shops, we went to different places, we walked around, sometimes we just went for a walk, and that was it. And it was very nice. And, you know, just being with my father-in-law, again, he's a total bamf. The guy can cook, like, wow. Mwah. His food is amazing, and I love it.
Yeah.
And, basically, we had a good time in Poland. It was nice. It was relaxing. There were things I needed to do in Poland that I didn't get to do because my father-in-law doesn't have good internet. But one of these days, I will hopefully fix his internet because that's the one thing that affects my time being in Poland. But maybe that's supposed to be because maybe without the internet, I spend more time with people and doing other things. So
yeah, I was just about to say, I mean, we talked a bit about this before you went the second time now. And I mean, in a way, it's good to put away the phone or the computer, whatever. And as you said, you've experienced the city, you've experienced people, you've had these meetings, these cultural kind of things going on. I think that's really nice because that doesn't come back that easy. But I mean, getting on the computer again, that's easier to do. And you guys needed a break as well. So think of it as a good kind of, which I know you do, kind of relaxation and also being with the family and as you say, your father-in-law that you had connected well with. So it just sounds very good and positive. I mean, just a really, really good stay.
We've continued perfectly. Also, like my sister-in-law and her fiance came over again, and we spent time with them as well. And they're always a good time. You know, as I said before, her fiance, he's a tech guy like us. Yeah. And so we chatted about quite a bit about some techie stuff, and also I did quite a bit of drinking. My father-in-law, he is he never lets me have an empty glass, if you know what I mean. Like he'll come in, and when he gets in, he'll be making dinner. And he'll pour a glass of a beer for himself, and he'll pour one for me, and he'll bring it, and he'll be like, he'll come with the glass and the can, and he'll pour it out, and he'll be like, give me the glass.
Host, I hear. I mean, he knows how to do it. You know,
top tier. Top tier. Like,
it's like the unwritten rule when you're having guests. Like within 5 minutes, they should have a glass in their hand. You know, it's like
drink something.
Yeah. Something like that.
Have something to drink. Have something to drink. Come sit down. Make yourself at home. Relax. You know. Even sometimes I'm sitting watching telly, and then he just comes around the corner with a beer. And when my glass empties, he's getting the next one. He's like,
you see,
the next glass is filling. So
planning.
He
knows the logistics of things.
He does. He definitely does. Whether it's wine, champagne, beers. My glass was always full. I had to
Yeah.
drink a lot of water to try to like regulate this.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
I was
Not
like,
to get dehydrated by the alcohol. Yeah.
I don't drink as often, so it's like
No.
it's something very much a bit newer for me. But at the same time, like I genuinely have a great time with my father-in-law. I think he's just so wonderful to be around. But yeah, it was a really nice trip to Poland. I enjoyed it. The flight was comfortable for the most part. I sat next to Xavi on the way to Poland. To which he told me, "Oh, Dad, I'm gonna eat so much. I'm gonna eat so much when I get to Poland. Granddad's food is the best." And he gets to Poland and he's struggling by his plate. The plate is packed with food, and he's just like, "Oh, I can't finish. I can't finish." I was like, "I thought you were gonna eat everything." So yeah.
Yeah, but the spirit was right.
The spirit was right. There's one thing I will say this to people going to visit Poland. There's one thing that you can get in Poland that you probably can't get anywhere else. I don't know if you can. If you can, tell me. There's this thing Poles make, right? It's like a roll, like a bread roll, but it's made from potato flour. So it's a potato flour bread roll. It's a bread that the internal is very soft, but the outside is really hard and sort of like crunchy. And it's so flavorful in such a nice way because in Poland, bread is like a bread, ziemniaki, which is potato. Bread, ziemniaki, and salad seems to be like a staple. Like we have those three all the time. Like every meal has some bread, some ziemniaki, and some salad. You know, so it's just like we do these things. And I'm not gonna lie, big ziemniaki fan here. Potatoes are the best. Love it. But this is the first time I fall in love with bread rolls. I mean, wow, I love Polish bread rolls. Specifically the potato ones. Those things, top tier.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah, that's
good.
That's how it is. You know, when it comes to Poland was nice. Poland was nice. Yeah. I can see myself visiting again. I don't know what it's gonna look like when I visit the next time because there's a new political leader in charge of the country.
Usually it's not that big of a difference, especially if you're not living there. I mean, you know how it is when you're just visiting and stuff. You don't really see so much of the changes, to be honest. And nowadays also there aren't that big differences between. It depends on if it goes really far right or really far left, but otherwise it's quite almost the same kind of potatoes. So
I think it's sort of like this the worry from the Polish people that I know, the ones who live either in the UK or some of the family members that I have in Poland, is they're worried that it will go too far right because I think Poland has a history with far right leaders and with the Second World War and all that kind of stuff. So that's one aspect of it, and two, there's this side of it where I think looking at what happened to the UK with Brexit and leaving the EU and all this sort of stuff, having a leader who's talking in that some similar rhetoric, which is like, let's distance ourselves from the EU. It's sort of a thing like, have you not seen what happened to the UK? Like, we don't have it any better. It's worse. Like, at least, even if you want to have your positions on some things, come on, man. Like, I don't see a reason to be against the EU. I think you should want to be closer to the EU. You're in the EU. You like, come on, you know, like, look at Britain. We're suffering here.
I guess it's though, as we've talked before, we're not going too far with this now in the podcast, but I mean, it's salt and sweet when it comes to the EU as well. And I think that's also why, especially certain countries like Poland and Hungary, for example, that has a bit of the same, how do you say, political viewing, if I put it like that. It has to do with history. It has to do with the countries, and at the same time, I mean, when people now, also in Sweden or other European countries, are talking about the situation when it comes to the mass migration and what has happened, for example, recently in France or Paris and in the UK, and also here in Scandinavia, in Sweden, it's Poland has been very strict, like super strict.
Yeah.
So they like still, or maybe they never will, but at least not yet. They don't have those kind of problems, if I put it like that. So in a way, I can understand. But the problem is, as we've spoken before, it's the whole. It's like the mindset that has been going on, and to a certain extent, it's still going on in many countries. Also here in Sweden, where politicians haven't been taking the responsibility to be more restricted when it comes to also migration. Like you can't bring in that many people and believe that it's gonna work well. It's not gonna do that, because you need to have resources in place, and you have to know that you're capable of actually uh, have a country that will
Facilitating.
work. Also, yeah, it's so many aspects. It's so many aspects, and I just see them close up now, also in Sweden. So I can, to a certain extent, I see the criticism also in Sweden against EU. There are people here now also that wants to Swexit them. But I think it's of course a minority. But I can also see decisions that has been the problem, as I see it with EU, is sometimes that they put their nose too much in domestic matters and questions and laws. They have affected certain things here also in Sweden that is not really popular. That Swedes feel that, well, hold on, this is why do they care? This is something we should take a decision upon, because it's our country, right? So it's a bit of a I don't know, it's very muddy right now when it comes to EU and certain things. At the same time, I just yeah, I saw that there are changes coming just recently, the day or two. I think due to the fact that it's been so much problem, and as you pointed out, therefore also a lot of people has gone a bit more far right, which wouldn't be needed if it would have been taken care a bit more cautious and with more responsibility. That's my saying. But EU has also, even the more liberal or left wing part has been forced due to this pressure and the happenings in Europe also on the negative side of things, have now implemented or made a change that will make it easier to say no to migrants in a certain way. I don't know exactly how the law is changed, but I know it has happened just within like today or yesterday. So it's hard. It's really hard. I can see it from many angles, but I kind of understand. But as you said, also to going back to square one, I said I wouldn't talk much about it, and then I do it. But it's because it's life, and we are all affected. I mean, I live in a small country up north, but we are a part of the EU, and we have to cope with that, and also collaborate with the European countries as good as we possibly can. So everyone will be in that sort of square or circle, whatever geometrical form it is we're talking about. So we'll see what happens. I hope it's gonna become better, whatever that is. But I think it's very important, because some of these parties that are going very far right, they wouldn't exist if this problem wouldn't have occurred the way it has now. It's the same in Sweden when it comes to the SD party, they are called, and they say it themselves. We would most likely not exist if the normal, like, larger old parties would have been more careful when it comes
They've
to
done their job
migration.
properly. I think for me, like, I had a conversation with my father-in-law, and this is something I never thought I would be able to have, like, because like, I wasn't sure how my father and I would get on, but now that we have this sort of relationship, I remember we had a conversation, and I was talking to him, and I was saying, when we were discussing the elections, this was before Karol Nawrocki won. I said he was going to win, because my father-in-law was convinced, everyone was convinced he wasn't going to win. My wife was like, he's not going to win it, and I said he's going to win, and I said the reason being is that a lot of countries in the world, Trinidad included, we recently voted for what would be considered a far right leader.
Yeah, you see,
and
it's the reaction that kind of.
The thing I say is that, like, the world has gone. Most countries have gone so far left that it's a reaction to that people are sort of trying to balance it by going far right. It's sort of like they're trying to balance the scales. Whereas what I think where we should all exist is in this middle ground, this sort of like balance between both sides, where we have the best of both worlds, But I think it's for quite some time it's been so far left that, and the decisions that have been made have affected people in a negative way for so long that people are just like, screw it, like let's just mess up everything, or let's just pick the people that say they're gonna just like change this because we're not happy with how it is right now.
It's true.
And
It's a reaction.
and to a certain extent, when you look at the voting that happened in Poland, it was literally like almost 50-50. It was this close. And quite a bit of people didn't vote. And that quite a bit of people that didn't vote is because of the fact there are people who are so disenfranchised from politics, from the way things are going. They don't even want either party, but they're like, look, I'm just not even going to waste my time. It's just going to be chaos. It's just going to be the same old, same old. And I think because of that, you have a lot of people who, in most elections, a lot of elections, have just abstained from voting because they don't really feel like either their vote matters or their opinion matters. And
that's a problem. It is a problem,
and that's why we're in the situation that we're in right now. So I think and more countries are going to do it. We're going to see more countries that, mark me on this, if you want to look like 2 years from now, let's look at it and see what happens. But more countries are going to vote this way. We're going to have more and more leaders like this because of the fact it's a correction. People are trying to correct what they see as an over correction from previous governments. So it's unfortunate that that's the case, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, we just have to sort of like live with it and see how it goes at this point. For me personally,
but I think it's a sound. Sorry, it's a sound analysis. I can see where you're coming from. Is one thing where you're getting at.
We've spoken about this a lot in private.
No, but I agree. I mean, from my perspective, also in Sweden, I can see that. Unfortunately, through the years, because when I grew up, which is a long time ago,
you're not that old.
But it was quite strong. It was a bit more balanced between both the right wing, the left wing, but also we had quite some. We had stronger mid parties. That's not the case now. Actually, one or two of them are close to fall out of the Riksdag here in Sweden, which because they are under the percentage, which has never happened before.
Yeah.
But that's because what we're talking about, and it has become more polarized, stronger like minus and plus, so to say. And these guys in the middle, that they're getting lost.
Yeah.
And they have also, I can see also mistakes they've made where they have been forced to, because since what happens also is that it's not like one party that has a majority. They might get 30-40%, but it means that they have to rule with at least one or two or even three more parties, in a coalition kind of thing. And that can be kind of good. I see now because we went from a red kind of era with quite strong tradition here in Sweden with the Social Democrats, for good and bad. But the last 8 years between like 2014, 2022 was not good. This is when the tap was wide open here in Sweden and so many migrants came in. And it was this hope that, we're going to get great, like educated people like work here in Sweden. But that wasn't the case. So not as much as the politicians thought or wanted, right? So... That was how it went here, and that's also when later on the smaller, because they were small at that point, the right wing party here started to grow because people saw like, you have put your head in the sand for 8 years, you had 2 mandate periods, and you did like nothing, and the crime, we talked about the crimes, the organized crime scene here in Sweden just. Propellered. It increased so much. Right now, Sweden made a deal with Estonia to send 600 prisons into prisons in Estonia because we don't have the space any longer.
Wow.
There's too many. Yeah. The Swedish Prime Minister made a deal the other day in order to they have to rent jail space abroad because that's how it has become.
That's so really bad. That's really...
Of course it is. Yeah, it is bad. And I've talked about this situation before. Today, just to put some icing on the cake, we're getting also soon into what I've been doing or whatever have you. But my wife, Annalie, sent a message in our family Discord today.
Mhm.
The police has sealed off the whole area outside her working like building,
Really?
whatever have you, because they have found a grenade.
What?
So the bomb squad came there and closed the whole area.
Is she
So
alright?
no one could get it. Yeah, no one could get in, no one could get out. And they then after that, when they had secured the situation due to this grenade, it was not a bomb, it was a grenade. And this has happened. I mean, if
Wow.
I would talk statistics, you wouldn't believe how many explosions it's been, especially in the Stockholm area the last year. It's insane.
Mhm.
And because it has, as I said, escalated, so to say. So my wife was like, I can't go anywhere. I have to wait, and then I'm gonna be questioned by the police, and it's,
Wow.
yeah,
That's
it's kind of wild. But it's not only here as well. I mean, you know what also goes on now and then in UK, and I said what we've seen in Paris and everything. It's like it's a pity. It's a pity in so many ways, and that's why I put the blame on the major parties that has been around. At least now I'm talking about Sweden in this case,
mhm.
that hasn't been responsible enough and have had the spine to say, okay, we have to boom. We're gonna take care of this and we're gonna do it like this. Instead, they just because they had the power. You know when you do everything to get the power,
Mhm.
that's how some of the parties here has been playing it.
That's
They
how
haven't
that's
really
how
been.
that's how it feels right now here in the UK with the current prime minister.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
I'm
he's
not a
gonna
huge fan of your prime minister. I'm sorry.
I think he's I genuine and again this is why I say like he's gonna lose the next election to reform. And
Yeah,
even though like I don't I don't feel comfortable with a lot of the policies of reform. I feel like it will affect me negatively. I know it will affect quite a few of them will affect me negatively. Um, I know for a fact that people are gonna vote for reform. I mean, it just is what
yeah,
it is. I
yeah.
mean, and it's to the point where my family and I we've been discussing plans and what we like things that we need to do for ourselves in
Sure.
case these sort of things happen. Because for those people who are in their home countries with you know it's easy to sort of whatever turmoil happens you can probably
Yeah,
ride
yeah,
through
yeah.
it.
You can always cope. You can
You can
always
cope
ride it
to you
out
can cope for
somewhat.
to a certain extent when you're an expat, when you live
Yeah,
abroad, there's a lot of other things that you need to consider. There's a lot of things whenever elections and all this sort of stuff happens, they have a lot. There's a lot to consider. Even like for me traveling to Poland, there's a lot that has and will change with me just going from the UK to Poland,
yeah.
and similarly from Trinidad to the UK. There's a lot that has
Mm.
happened and will happen going forward that will affect me and will affect my entire family because of the fact of these governments and the decisions that they're making and so forth. Um, so it is unfortunate, but at
Yeah.
the end of the day, yeah, what can I do about it? At the end of the day,
No, no,
um,
exactly. The only thing we can do, and as you mentioned, you due to an election when you were in politics, that is to actually go and vote. That's what you can do. If you really want to take it further, of course, you can engage yourself like political wise. One of my colleagues in Cremata was actually into politics for some time, like on a small like uh, county or community kind of level thing,
have you
you
ever
know.
considered it,
But
Raj? Have you ever considered going to
actually, in a bit, yes. Uh,
Mayor
it
Raj?
came, it came, yeah, it came to me a bit like a few years ago because I just felt that when you reach, I shouldn't say it sounds like reach a certain age, but in a way it has to do with that. It has to
Mm,
do with that practical wise because you don't have the small children any
mm,
longer.
mm,
You're a bit more free in that sense, and you also have a lot of experience. I have traveled. I've been in a lot of countries. I met a lot of people. I've been doing things, and
mhm.
I know what I think is right and wrong, and that doesn't mean that I am always right because that's not how it works.
Yeah.
But I am at least pretty how do you say secure in my beliefs and what I think is important to make things kind of work, you know. But at the same time, you know, Nah, I don't know. I don't know.
Here's
No.
another question, right? I remember hearing this question on a British radio show as what I was listening to like some months ago, right? It's sort of like a two-parter, but the question is, right? We have an age limit for kids for people voting when it comes to like there's a an age limit for how young you have to be to vote. And I think the British government was considering lowering the limit. So from 18, I think they were thinking about dropping it to like 16 or something like that, 15, 16, somewhere around there. There's no cap as you get older. Do you think that we should have a cap as you get older? And what do you think is the cap for younger? Like, where's the like, where do you think, okay, you're too old, your decisions probably not going to matter or are going to affect people that you're not even going to be around to see the effect, or you're too young, you don't have enough experience and you don't know what you're voting for, you're just a child. Where do you think that is there? Do you think there should be a middle area where it's like this is the perfect age for people to vote, or like what do you think?
That's a very good question, and it's hard to have like a general answer because, as you know, you can be 20 years old and behave like a child,
We
but you can
don't.
also be 18 years old and be quite mature.
Mm-hmm.
So, and with that said, of course, you can be 75 and also be a bit childish, or maybe I don't. It's hard to say, but let me put it like this: I don't think, at least for my sense of my stomach, it doesn't feel right to tell my mom, well, sorry, you're like 82 years old. You can't vote any longer, because she's clear. She's, you know,
Mm-hmm.
she's fine. I think it's more important to see exactly what I was going for there. Maybe we should be careful and see how are people, are they ill? Are they do they have all their senses? You know,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Even that will be hard. You know, who's going to decide that? One doctor, two doctors, whatever have
Mm-hmm.
you. I'm not sure. So at least I would leave that more open, like upwards when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to getting older. When it comes, at least here in Sweden, it's from 18 years
Mm-hmm.
old,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's a kind of a good. I don't know if I want to call it middle ground, but I don't think it should be.
16.
I don't think it should be very much lower than that, to be honest. I don't,
uh,
because I mean, when I was 18, what the heck did I know?
I didn't
Yeah,
know
sure,
anything either.
I fixed my driving license and I felt like, oh, I'm a man now. I'm not. I was still a boy. You know, it's like, so I don't know. What do you think?
For me, I've got a 16-year-old right now, and I would not trust him to vote.
No, no, no. Well, you
But
see, I mean,
but at the same time, I've got nieces and nephews and friends and so forth, and I've got nephews who and nieces who I don't even know if I trust them to vote as well, because even though some of them are a bit more mature and probably savvy in some ways, I think at the same time they're not in other ways. Like I've literally had my nephew try to tell me about some. I think he follows Andrew Tate or something, and he was trying to like tell me something about Andrew Tate and blah 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 and this and that. And I was like, dude, like, have you like researched this or anything like that? And he was quoting some stuff, and it was so simple to just Google and just like, dude, no. It was like, so when I think about that, I was just like, I don't think so, mate. You know, granted, I've seen adults do the exact same thing. People who are in their
yeah.
mid-20s, 30s do the exact same thing. I think people should do a competency test. I think voting should, like, if you're going to vote that to affect other people's lives, your life included, I think you should have a voting competency test. Like, before elections come around, you do a competency test every election, every 4 years or whatever have you. You do you complete the competency test, and then you get your polling card after you've completed it. You know, it doesn't have to be the most complex test. Maybe something you can do on your phone or something like that. You know, you just answer a few questions and
Because, as you know, when you're in onto that, because here, for example, which is quite good. They nowadays have these barometers or whatever it's called.
mhm,
As you said, it's like an app. You can go in and what do you think about this question, and you can answer A, B,
mhm,
C, and then at the end of the like 12th or 14th question, you get a result, and it shows, oh, you would most likely vote on this party because of
mm,
the result. And it's actually quite good. I have to say, it does make sense. They've come pretty far with that as well. So maybe it could be like not that like many questions, but maybe 8 or 10, basic kind of uh, institution kind of questions. That also shows that you know something. And if you don't know, of course you should be able to redo the test
Yeah, of
once
course, of
more, I
course.
think, because
Yeah.
then you can, as you learn, okay, I need to read about this. Okay, aha, that's the name. I get it. I understand. Yeah, in a way, I can agree with you, because it's at the same time we live in democracies, both
Yeah,
in,
of
the
course.
UK and in Sweden, as it should be. So if we have decided, well, it's got to be from 18 and up, well, then it should be 18 and up. But I am not. But at the same time, I am not a foe when it comes to that kind of suggestion. I am not, because, as said, when you read some comments, especially if you go on social media closer to election times, I see it already here in Sweden, because we have election next year, next fall.
Oh wow.
It has already started.
Oh,
There
it's
is so many
scary,
people
isn't
that
it?
it's like, oh
You know
my
what's
God, this dude. I mean, I go so far nowadays, if I have a spare moment, that I need to check this guy's profile. I need to see who the frack is this guy. And when I go in, I'm like, oh, I thought so. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, it's terrible to say, but I'm like, dude, yeah.
you know what's the scariest thing?
With some things, some people have been writing, and there's like laugh emojis like all the way down. What? Okay, I gotta check. It's the same person. Laugh emojis on this very sensitive topic. Why do you do that? And then you go into the profile and you're like,
Oh yeah, it makes
all right,
sense. Yeah,
all right.
it makes sense. And the thing is, that's the thing during election time when you go on social media. Because like I remember when I went on social media for Trinidad and Tobago's elections. Oh my god, it's a cesspool, man. Like when you see people going at each other and the things that people say and the way
It
everything's
has
so
become
polarized.
even worse now, more disrespectful and
Very rude.
keyboard warriors. Like it's
There's no sort of people don't seem to have respect for each other. I think
no manners.
no
Like,
manners at all. And I think for me, I think the whole point of an election is it should be a civilized thing where we can disagree on our viewpoints and so forth. But at the end of the day, we vote, and whoever comes out at the end of the day. But people can be quite rude online, and during election times when you look at it, it is horrible. And that's one of the things I experienced while I was in Poland, was seeing the comments on the news. People were talking on the newspapers everywhere. It was all over, because I think the president that won, they said he was a pimp, and he had been found with prostitutes coming out of his hotel room and so forth, and so forth. There were a lot of reputable witnesses of these acts, and he was also part of a gang, and this gang, of course, endorsed him during his elections and stuff like that. So they were like, are we electing a thug to run our country? So you had this sort of like narrative that was being built, and it was just sort of a thing like...
Isn't that interesting what you just said there? Because I can see that also happening here. I think media, because media has a really, they are responsible, honestly, to a lot of shit. Because they know how to make these headlines, like to get clicks, and they can be quite misleading. And some people never, ever, ever, ever read the actual article, so they just get the headline and, oh, I knew it. Oh my God, it's terrible. And it was like, well, it wasn't really like that. If you read the article, you will see that they aren't even sure. Blah blah blah, bitty bloops.
There's always a speculation. So the other thing too, I think as well, I think people just don't care about that kind of stuff, because even like, for example, the prime minister who won for Trinidad and Tobago, she's a known alcoholic. Like I know people who personally knew her, like when she was the prime minister. She was previously the prime minister. And she's a known alcoholic. She's been drunk on the international stage, like meeting, like, going out there for government stuff and wasted drunk. Her security detail had to like take care of her and make sure like she got back where she needed to get back safely.
Yeah.
But the Trinidad and Tobago didn't care. Like they were like, we'll much prefer an alcoholic, because this alcoholic is saying some of the things that we want to hear. With not everything, but with some things,
That's
because
very rare. But
some of the things
enough.
that she's saying is going to affect a lot of Trinidadians horribly.
Okay.
But at the same time, a few of the things that she's saying is they think it's going to affect them positively. I personally look at it from a Trinidadian perspective, looking from the outside in, and I think sometimes when you're on the outside looking in it, you have a bit more perspective that when you're not living in it. I can see how bad it could potentially get, because there's quite a lot of conversation about privatizing everything in the country, and from healthcare to education, all sort of stuff. And coming from a time where I had free education and free healthcare and all this sort of stuff, considering the fact that there are going to be people who will not have that. They don't know what it's like to not have that, to not be able to go to a hospital when you're sick and get care without having to spend money, to know what it's like to not be able to afford to get an education, to go to school and not be able to afford that. When you think about that kind of stuff from the perspective of having it to not having it, that some people don't get it. Some people don't understand that. That is not going to affect the next generation coming up positively. And some people are going to lose family members to that, in the sense of like, someone's going to get sick and someone's going to die because they're not going to get healthcare. If it happens that she gets through, because obviously we have a parliamentary system in Trinidad, people have to vote and so forth. If that does get true, where she privatizes the healthcare system and education, all this sort of stuff, the things that she campaigned on, people will suffer. And it's usually the people who don't have a lot of money. The people who do have a lot of money are probably going to be pretty fine. They will be perfectly fine. No problems.
Most of the time, yes. I think that's interesting to hear, since we have the same kind of system in Sweden through the state, which is free healthcare, free education, free this and that, which is great. It's the tax money, of course, which means that you will have to pay a bit of a higher tax, but it's I think it's worth it in the long run. There's been debates also here in Sweden when it comes to the private sector, the private schools and everything. It's not over. It's going on. It's been going on for a decade now here. But I think we have reached, though, if I look into the society, a kind of a balance. They have, though, to decide whether how the system should work and what kind of insight you need to have, and to make have the quality control, if that makes sense, because that has been a problem. But I think I've seen some kind, at least here, it's never been a question about actually taking it away. It's more the fact, should there be private actors? Like, should there be private schools, and how many, and how should we? So it's been more like that. So I think that's a pretty healthy mix, to be honest, when they do get it right. Because then you have options that are available for a much broader part of the population overall. And you don't cut the branch that you're sitting on, if that makes sense. Because if you go as far as you describe that they are discussing, or she's talking about, that's I don't think that's a good thing at all.
I don't think it's gonna thing. But at the end of the day, we with every one of these elections and all these other we don't know. We wait and see. But that's how it looks at this point in time. But to answer the question which is it worth visiting Poland, which is the title of this episode, yes, it is. It is worth visiting Poland. I don't know what your experience is going to be like, because everyone's experience is probably going to be different. I have visited quite a few cities in Poland, mostly around Warszawa, which is the capital, which is Warsaw. So most of my experiences are around there. I plan to return to Poland again and to visit a few more cities. There's a city called Warszawa, or I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, which is it's spelled with a W. I plan to visit that city. That's the city where CD Projekt Red's office is. Wink, wink. That's kind of my reason I wanted to visit. There's another one. I think it's called Lublin, which is not too far from what I understand, it's not too far from Warszawa, which I'd like to see as well. And there are a few other cities, like for example, my missus told me that Poland has one of the biggest forests in all of Europe or something like that. I'd love to see that forest, and there are a lot of things in Poland and around Poland that I would love to see. Again, there's a difference you get from being in a major capital city like Warszawa, Warsaw or Stockholm or London and so forth, where
Yes.
you do have a lot more of a cosmopolitan blend of people and culture and
it's
stuff.
city life, basically,
It's city life.
right? So,
But then when you go into the countryside and stuff, there's a completely different experience that you may experience. Because I've heard from family and friends in Poland that if and when I do visit the countryside, I may not get the same reception that I have received. And I will say this: when I visited Malta, for example, I experienced that because I remember visiting Malta and being in the main city, which is Valletta. Valletta, the people in Valletta and in and around that area, they're quite rude. And when I say rude, it's sort of this little thing like they're very direct.
I remember you saying that.
But then you go up to the north, where it's the countryside, and those people are super nice and super chill and super laid back and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And so you can get that sort of mixture of like that, or it could be in some cases the countryside people could be rude and the city people could be nice because they're focusing on tourism or something. So what I can say is, if it's your first time visiting Poland, Warsaw is a safe bet. Visit Warsaw. You should be fine. There are quite a few things to see in there, in and around the city. There's a lot of historical stuff. Poland has very deep history. A lot of it is around the Second World War, so prepare yourself for that. Prepare yourself to hear a lot of trivia or things about the Second World War from pretty much every Pole you speak to, especially if they're older. But at the same time, there's a lot to see. It's a beautiful country. It's very clean, very clean. They're very punctual. They're very direct. Poles don't smile at you at all. Like, you walk through the city and you smile at the Pole, they're like, why are you smiling at me? Like, people to go about their business. People don't just, unless they know you, they're not smiling at you. That's just like mean face, and people take it at Poles are, they're not really mean. It's just, they're just not really, they don't got time for that, they don't have time for that nicety. So they will just be on their way. They'll look like they're angry, but they don't give a crap about you. They're just doing their thing. But at the same time, if you do speak Polish, it helps, because if you do speak some Polish and you can communicate and so forth, it makes it easier for a Pole and that's with most countries. I think it makes it easier to communicate, and it makes people feel more comfortable with you as well. I think, because like if you visited Trinidad and Tobago and you understood, Trinidadian phrases and slang and things about the culture, even though Trinidadians are already automatically friendly, you'd find that be extra or even more friendly with you because of the fact that they'll feel more comfortable, because like, wow, you get it. Like if you meet a Trini and you say, hey, and they say, hey, you want a lime? If you said, hey, you want a lime? And they're like, what? You know about liming? Perfect. We like you. Right? Things like that is a thing, So I enjoyed my time in Poland. I can highly recommend visiting Poland. Start with Warsaw, or for the rest of you, it's Warsaw, and figure it out from there. That's about it.
Cool. Yeah.
So.
Good.
That's
good.
Been my week.
Memories. I can just get into the Q choir, since I've also been in Poland. It's
you've been to Warsaw? Ooh la la.
Yeah, Warsaw, Krakow, and
Krakow.
Gdansk.
Oh, I can't wait to go to
and
Krakow.
some other places around Gdansk. Yeah, I've had. That was, of course, due to music. We played concerts. It was a really nice, quite a big festival actually, which is called the Warsaw Spring Festival in Warsaw. But I only have good memories, it's been good. Krakow was beautiful, as you say, history. There was this beautiful old monastery castle kind of thing on top of mountain there, mountain in the city actually. Cool. So, but time flies. Oh man, we've been doing stuff. We've been talking. Also, guys, we got a bit into politics and stuff. Sorry,
it doesn't happen very often. This is a one-off.
It doesn't happen very often. Not at all. But at the same time, why not? It was also related to your trip to.
It was very much related to my trip because, as I said, it was during that time. So
yeah. So thank you also for filling in the chat, especially you, Alex, also when it comes to the pronunciation and who is who in Poland and whatever have you. And now I hope you find today the last day of VBS, and it's going to be a blast.
What's
Sounds good for
VBS?
you. I
That
also
sounds.
saw that you were.
That's
Yeah.
I think I remember VBS being something with like Bible school, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it?
When I was a kid, the VBS I knew was some sort of like vacation Bible school. Is that it, Nalu? Like, fill us in if that's the case. I can't remember, but that's what I remember VBS stood for. Unless there's a new thing that I don't know about.
Could be. But anywho, I'm gonna talk a bit about what I've been doing when you've been in Poland. As you know, since we had the last podcast, you knew what my family would do for me due to me having my birthday before you went.
Yep. Adam told me everything.
Yeah, of course. Now, it was great, actually. It was really nice. It was like an event that Annalie had booked through an app, which is basically, and I think this is a cool concept. You can choose whether you want to have like 4 or 6 restaurants to visit during an afternoon/evening. So you're basically out it's like a half a day thing. We started off in the afternoon, I didn't know where to go, what was going on. We were in the city, we were just walking as we usually do. And we ended up at this place, never been there, but it was nice. So you get like a smaller dish of whatever it might be. And I ordered a nice beer, and that's how we started. Sat there eating, talking, and then half an hour later, oh, we need to go. So we went like for a walk, maybe 20 minutes, and then we came to this second restaurant, ate there. Different style of places too. One with a bit of a more Asian kind of thing, and then you had more cosmopolitan and nice. So we were eating at 4 places during a period of like 5 hours or ish, something like that. It was really nice. Very, very fun. Very fun. Besides that, I've also been enjoying that it finally became like summerish here. It's not been like yes, it's not been crazy temperatures. It's been hard for the needle to press over like 20 degrees Celsius here, but at least it's been nice. And even if it's been windy, we talked about I hate when it's too windy, but it's been warm winds, so it's a win. But I've also been busy, as you hinted in the beginning of the podcast. We are playing a concert now with the band on Saturday, actually on June 7th. We were supposed to play on the 14th at a place, but we canceled it because the circumstances wasn't too good to play there. So the guitarist that is usually doing the book, and he just got this. We played here before. That's my short saying. This place that we're going to on Saturday. So we've been rehearsing quite a lot. You can see what happened yesterday. Can I? Let's see if I can show you this. You see my middle finger, since I do play the drums, and our set is quite energetic due to the music, the style of the music. I have what it's called, a blem. It's like when the skin goes off.
Yeah, so I think they call it a blister.
A blister, thank you, not a blem. Blister, thank you. So it's okay now. I think it's gonna heal before Saturday, so it's gonna be fine.
I think you should. Have you treated it? In some countries, Trinidad being one. Like when I grew up, you'd pour alcohol in it because the alcohol kills the germs and it burns your skin.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Did you do that?
I haven't done that. Yeah, maybe I should do that.
It's very manly,
I should take some of the good whiskey that I got from my family due to my birthday. So, no, that's a waste. That's a waste. I get some cheap stuff, whatever have you. But no, so it's good. It's been good. I've had 2 pretty good weeks, I must say. Also been working out. Second workout this afternoon at this new gym I was talking about, since they closed the old one. Feels good. I'm happy about it. Besides that, been doing my thing as usual. I'm writing music. I'm doing my videos. It's just I have to say it's been good. So now focus. The mind starts to think about the concert, so it's a bit of focus there. Then after that, I can start to relax. I need to do some practical things after that. I need to go to one of these small photo booths, it's a photo booth, so you can just take a picture for your driving license. Because I just got a mail, oh, you need to renew your driving license. I was like, okay, I gotta fix that. So stuff like that has to be done. Buy some new shoes, and the list goes on. So
life admin. That's what we call it.
But
Um,
that's basically that, you know.
uh,
It's been cool.
sorry, I'm sucking on these. This is
That's
to help with my
perfectly fine.
cough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But that being
Keep
said,
on it.
Rog,
Yeah.
you have been playing video games and watching telly.
Yes, I've been playing video games.
I think we should start with the telly because sorry, not the telly, the video games because I really haven't been playing much. So,
Sure. We start there. I just briefly go through or say something about it. It's been a bit of this and that, as it usually is for me, since I
mhm,
try to cover different content also when it comes to my YouTube channel, or maybe news or an older game, whatever have you.
mhm,
But I've been playing quite some actually. This new Splitgate upcoming game, which is
mhm,
Splitgate 2, which is currently in a beta. I think it's also now, yeah, it's now on consoles as well. It
mhm,
started with a PC, and the developers 1047 Games
mhm,
has announced that they have a big thing coming up, and no one knows what it is. People
mhm,
start to think, oh, are they making a campaign like a single player? No, it could be a battle royale or extraction shooter version as
mhm,
well, in addition to the arena shooter that it is.
mhm,
We'll see. We'll see. But I've had some fun. You know, I had some fun. I also played a bit of the finals the other day when it comes to streaming. But I think Splitgate 2 is interesting because it's one of these old style of games when it comes to being an arena shooter, which is
mhm,
both good because there's like a niche here, right? And some people have been longing for a game like this. At the same time, it's hard because the competition and the focus in, especially in the shooter or the FPS genre, is so heavily towards extraction shooters right now.
mhm,
And around the corner, we have Embark, talking about the finals, the Embark Studios
mhm,
new game coming up, which is Arc Raiders, which is supposed to be a very, very heavily anticipated and popular game because the alpha and especially the beta went really well for them.
mhm,
So and the rumor says that it's going to be released tomorrow.
mhm,
But I haven't seen any official sayings about that, so I guess
mhm.
we might have to wait and whatever regarding that. So
Wait and see.
yeah. Thank you also, Alex. When it comes to the experience, yeah, how much you were able to eat or experience with the time, yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Um.
Now, it was never rush meal, actually. We talked about the event I explained earlier. That's the good thing. You have like a time span where you're supposed to be there within this hour or whatever. So it kind of worked well. I
How
can
was
highly
it?
recommend
How
if you
how
can
was
find.
your belly at the end of it? Was it
It was. I wasn't that like filled because there were small meals, and since
Oh.
you eat and maybe there's an hour between, you
Hmm.
know, no worries, not a problem at all.
Hmm.
So
They didn't
it was
give you
quite
like a
tasty.
whole chicken and said like finish this
No,
before
no,
you
no, no,
move.
no, nothing like that. No. It could be. As said, it's more like uh, entree courses in a
Mm,
way. You know,
mm-hmm,
that kind of size. So
mm.
it's fine. It's a treat. It's a taste of something, and then you move on into the next one.
Very nice.
So, but that's gaming for me right now. So I'm gonna keep my eyes open for what happens tomorrow when it comes to Splitgate 2. I think they are actually, are they doing the real release tomorrow, or because it's also around the corner? Well, there's some things happening right now in my space when it comes to gaming, so we'll see about that.
We just
So
gotta wait and see.
yeah,
Also, I think what we should mention is that the Nintendo Switch launched
yeah,
today.
tasting menu.
Yeah,
Oh, did it?
it did.
Okay.
The Switch 2. It is out today.
Oh,
So
very nice.
I would like to assume we would need to you would need to confirm this. Has Adam got one yet? Because we know he will get one.
That's a, yeah, that's a good.
We know he will
Okay.
get one. So
No, he hasn't. If he would have, oh wait, he has written a message. Just let me double check. No, okay, he has. I was just kind of awaiting that. Oh, by the way, I bought the new. Oh, no, he sent me some really fun clips from a game that was called Snow,
mm,
which was a really fun skiing game, and we had a lot of fun. I think both me, Adam, and Isaac, and some of Adam's friends was playing this. It's a crazy skiing game
ooh,
that was called Snow. I think I saw this game when I was, when me and Adam was at Gamescom many
mm-hmm.
many years ago now. So okay, that's that.
Oh
That
no,
was the
that's
message
super
from Adam.
cool. That is super cool. I'm sure. I'm sure by next week he would have picked up his Switch too, and we will be having conversations about this. because I have been seeing everyone. I saw Tim post. He posted on his Instagram pictures of him waiting in line, for the midnight launch. I didn't know people still did that. I didn't know people still did
No, I
midnight
didn't know it was a
launches.
thing.
But Tim went to a midnight launch and he collected his Switch
Wow.
2.
Cred to him doing
Super
that.
cool. Super. I mean,
Yeah.
Tim's kids are both grown at this point. He's got time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He can do those kind of things.
He can go to the midnight launch and chill. And I think too as well, it's like it's a thing that we had from like previous generations, and it's sort of a thing like it's good to just sort of relive that sort of like charm of that whole thing. I guess does it make sense?
Yes.
You know, I'm sure that's the reason. Because I mean, Tim could just order it and have it delivered to his house, but I think it's
Yeah,
the
I was
whole.
thinking the same, but no, this is cooler.
It's yes,
It's
definitely
old school.
classic. That being said, let's talk about some telly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I've been watching Ted Lasso. Have you seen Ted Lasso?
Uh-huh. Oh, no.
So Ted Lasso.
Oh, no. I'm like, oh, no.
Let me Google it. Let me bring it up first before I start talking, because you know I don't remember names.
Oh, okay.
So Ted Lasso, this is an Apple TV show, right?
Yeah,
So,
I see that now.
so you have to have Apple TV. You can subscribe to it through Prime, apparently. I'm not.
That is true. I see that because I was just seeing where can you see Ted Lasso in Sweden, and it says Prime Video.
It says watch with Apple TV Plus. Start your subscription. You can start a subscription for Apple TV Plus through Prime, right? Which is here in the UK it's $8.99 a month. So I personally got a free month of Apple TV, and I claimed it before I went on my flight.
Of course.
And I decided to watch Ted Lasso. No, I didn't watch it on the flight, but I watched it when I got back. Me and the missus started it. We made it to about 2 or 3 episodes, and then she was tired and she fell asleep, and I binged. I like the title of our website and this YouTube page. I binged. I sat up all night watching Ted Lasso. It is so good. Ted Lasso.
Well, it has good rating. I see that.
It's an 8.8 out of 10 on IMDb. 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, 8.8 on Prime Video. This is so good. So good.
That's good.
It's the story of it is about this sort of like minor NFL coach who he won some trophy in the NFL. And there's this English Premier League team that hires him to come in, a fictional team, of course. It's not a real Premier League team. So this fictional Premier League team hires him to come in and coach their team. But it is under the guise, the owner of the team is this woman who inherits the team from her ex-husband who was cheating on her. And she intends to take over the club and basically run it into the ground because it was the only thing he loved the most. So she hires this American under the guise that he's gonna ruin it because he knows nothing about the Premier League, knows nothing about football, all this sort of stuff. He's gonna be terrible at the job, and as she thought, he starts off terribly at the job. But Ted is a very optimistic guy. And he is very much, he sees the best in other people. And he's just super cheerful and super bright and all this sort of stuff. But he's also going through his own personal turmoils, but you just don't see it. And as the show goes on, you get to learn more about Ted and Rebecca, who's the owner of the club. And my favorite character, who's Coach Beard. He is awesome. And he's Ted's like sort of like co-pilot. I thought he was a figment of Ted's like imagination up until because for the whole first few episodes, no one talks to Coach Beard like directly. Everyone's talking to Ted, and Ted talks to Coach Beard back and forth. And Coach Beard only responds in like 1 or 2 words, like he'd be like, "What do you think, Coach?" And Coach Beard will be like, yeah, and then Ted will be like, he really likes you. It's like. What the hell is going on? But then as the series goes on, you get to hear Coach Beard talk more, and you get to see more about him. And then the first time someone else talked directly to Coach Beard and not Ted, I was like, what? He's a real person. He's not a figment of Ted's imagination. So I like it. It's really good. Shout out to my boy Nathan as well, played by Nick Mohammed. He's like he comes in like the little sidekick, and then he sort of like comes into his own. Nathan is the water boy, but then he knows the most about the team, so he understands the tactics and stuff. And so when Ted and Coach Bear turn to him and they say like, Nathan, what do you think we should do? Nathan's like, I don't know. I have some ideas, but no, I don't want to say anything. And then they were like, come on, tell us what you got. And Nathan would be like, look, so like if we do this and we do that, this might work. Mm-hmm. And then they listen to Nathan and it works, and they're like, Nathan, But then Nathan he's a bit of a softie. The guys in the locker room, they bully him all the time. They beat him up and all sort of stuff. And so you get the journey of Nathan trying to come into his own and taking that sort of control himself. You have Roy, who's the old football player who has been with the club and he's aging, but he's angry and he's proper English, but then also he sort of like has a softer side because he doesn't want to see them bully Nathan, so he's like, look, he wants to speak out about it, kind of thing. And you have other characters who fill different roles. You have Rebecca going through her breakup with her ex-husband, and her going through that, and Ted with his circumstances that you find out for. I don't want to spoil Ted. You gotta see Ted stuff, and Coach Beard as well. You gotta see Coach Beard. So Ted Lasso, I'm giving this a 10. I'm giving Ted Lasso a 10 out of 10. I'm probably like 8 or 9 episodes in season 1. Cool. It has 3 seasons. Ted Lasso, chef's kiss. Ted Lasso is good. Love it.
It sounds fun. I can see myself watching this as well.
You need to see it. Trust me, you need to see it.
Yeah.
And apparently, you can play as Ted Lasso and his team in FIFA 23. I might have to pick up a copy of it. I might have to pick up a...
That is so funny.
That is so funny. I might have to pick up a copy of FIFA 23 just to use Ted Lasso in the Premier League and look, I'm playing career mode as Ted Lasso and his team with Roy, Kent, and all them lots, and seeing Ted on the sidelines and being Ted. Oh, so cool. Anyway.
Yeah,
that's Ted Lasso for you.
Good.
Shout out to Ted Lasso. It's pretty cool. So, that being said, Raj, what have you been watching? Have you been watching Ted Lasso?
No. Didn't know about it until now, but it sounds fun, as said. I might look into this. I have been watching a bit this and that, to be honest. Since Adam still had his, or still has it this month out, I think, when it comes to Disney. I've been watching some Disney stuff, actually. And I just came across this old movie from 2010, which is one of the earlier ones, made when it comes to... being foremost a video game I'm pretty sure I played, and that is Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. If I'm like trying to find words here to
horrible, are you gonna say it's horrible?
Yeah, well, it's this is one of those movies that you can watch, which I did apparently, and like enjoy in a certain way at the same time. Not sure if I will recommend it like that. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal, is doing an okay job here as Prince of Persia. You have, of course, also a top name like Ben Kingsley, and I think overall it's pretty well done, if that makes sense. But I guess it didn't hold up that well watching it now in 2025. But what I did kind of like is the feel of watching one of these older like matinee movies, like Indiana Jones. It's very easygoing kind of entertainment, if that makes sense.
Noted.
And I think that's pretty nice. It's not that often you see those kind of movies any longer. It happens, but not very often. So because it has like everything, the action, the story. The story isn't bad. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. And some love, some romance, and all that beautiful stuff. But as a whole, as said, from 2010, which could still be a thing. We've seen older movies that are still great to watch in 2025, but maybe not this one.
Maybe not this one.
It has like a 6.5 on IMDb. I would give it around a 6. Not so much more than that. So it's okay, but not like
I seem to remember what I see. I think I may have watched this one. I don't remember if I liked or hated it. I don't remember it. So this is one of those
Yeah,
movies where I
absolutely.
watch, and if I have watched it, I've forgotten about it. But I'm looking at images of it, and I'm like, this looks familiar to me. You know, so
Right.
maybe I've seen it and just completely washed it from my memory because it was just not that impactful.
That could be
So
yeah, I think that maybe says that it wasn't that amazing then. Yeah.
no, it wasn't. I
So,
don't think it
well,
is.
that's that. That's that.
That's Prince of Persia, and that's an episode, isn't it?
It is for sure. Yeah, we've been going. Well, we started late. Also, so it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But it's good to be back. I hope you guys enjoyed. Got a bit of this and that. We also got a bit. We put on our serious hat a bit, talking about some politics. Even though you got to laugh about that as well. Have some distance. Some tips when it comes to video gaming and films and TV and stuff like that. A series that I would check out when it comes to what you presented, Q. With that said, take care, have a good week, and hope to talk to you in a week from now. With that said, Muffin and out.
Beautiful as always. So with that, guys, thank you very much for listening to this episode of That Beautiful Life podcast. You can find me at LPGRDIN, guide. Oh wait, why am I saying that? You can find Roger at 40 Splish Blast. That's number 40 with SPLISH, SPLESH. He streams on a Tuesday and a Sunday. That's correct.
That's correct.
Yep.
Good.
And then you can find me at LPGRDIN, guidance at all of you, pretty much everywhere else. And you can find us at Simply Binge or at Simply Binge UK. And as always, we wouldn't like you guys to miss out on any of the episodes of That Beautiful Life podcast. Many beautiful people like you subscribe to this podcast on Castbox, Acast, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Simply Binge.com, and elsewhere. And with the content that you're going to like it, I will give it for free. So as always, guys, this has been queued for your pleasure. That's a wrap. That's our episode leveler. My barber messaged me. I need a haircut. This beard needs to be trimmed and all that kind of leveler. And yeah, Rod, you look great. So
Well, at least I've shaved a bit actually.
I haven't.
I reached a kind of insane beard level like a few days ago. Well, that's nothing, Q.
I mean,
I was ho ho ho. You know.
I need to. My missus has detangled my hair. It was quite
okay.
So usually Alex detangles my hair for me, so she's done that already.
That's good.
But I do need to go to my barber and just sort of like get it lined up and everything, and faded and shaved up. He messaged me today. He messaged me today. He was like, "Yo, what's up?" And I was like, "I'm good. How are you?" How are you?
Checking. Yeah, just checking.
I was like, "Oh, by the way, I do need to come in to get my hair cut."
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I haven't forgot. I know I'm due. I'm about time. So yeah, I need to get a haircut soon. So hopefully I get it done tomorrow. We'll see. Anyway, that's an episode. See you guys soon.
See you guys. Bye bye.